Hi everyone, welcome back to Frequency Intuitive. I hope you're doing well. If you don't want to watch the pile selection right now, you can go ahead and choose your piles intuitively from the thumbnail. Just click on the timestamp in the description box and I'll see you there in your pile. For those interested in the pile selection, we're choosing 3 cards today, getting information and guidance on how can you break out of this cycle. We're asking for guidance for your highest good, the highest good of all involved, and that your message reaches you regardless of time and space. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull these piles. How is the viewer able to break out of this cycle? Sometimes we get just stuck in these repetitive cycles and it's hard to find what's that magic key that unlocks the door to a new timeline. So Spirit actually gave me the idea for this, my guides. So I hope it's helpful and informative for you and can give you some magic words, activations to shift you into something fresh energy. Unless, of course, it's a cycle that's serving you, and then you probably wouldn't be watching this reading. Or you may just not be aware of the fact that you may be stuck in a repetitive loop and you want to move on to something more fresh. And this can be in any aspect of your life regarding your routine, your health. Now, I see that this is 2 cards, so I guess we're doing 4 piles. So pile 1, I also have a crystal for you. Pile 1, balance, spirituality, and practicality. Full moon in Pisces. What a great card for this reading. Aren't we all trying to figure out duality? Number 2, emotions are running high, super moon. So you could find yourself very reactive. They're already just giving me some messages. I feel like this is going to be a very powerful reading. Number 3, bring love into the situation, new moon in Aquarius. Like I said, we'll get crystals in one moment. And pile 4, your hard work is paying off, new moon in Capricorn. And I didn't want to pick the crystals beforehand for some reason. I have them here. It's a bunch of moons, crescent moons, which I thought would be good for this reading. So I'm just going to shake them up and kind of see what comes out. So for pile 1, can we have one, please? For pile 2, I'll show you up close. Ooh, 2 came out. I'll do that again. Just 1, please. Okay. Okay. What is pile 4 getting 2? Okay. I guess you have 2 moons. Something to do with abundance, I guess, because your hard work is paying off with that one, but I'm curious what the cycle is. Okay. So pile 1 with balance, spirituality, and practicality. This, I don't know these crystals. It's a very dark chocolate, the kind of brown color with like an amber in it. This one is very beautiful. This like magenta color. Again, I don't know the name. Pile 3 is this chestnut taupey crescent. And pile 4, the jade moon and the turquoise moon both came out. And we're just going to leave them because 2 came out twice. So I'm not going to fight that energy. So go ahead and tune in, intuitively select your pile and take your time, pause it if you need to, and I will see you in your pile. Hello. Hi, pile 1. So let's go ahead and start getting your messages about how can you break out of this cycle. So you may have something in mind or you may have no idea what this is about. So either is fine, and we'll go ahead and get some clarity here and see if some messages come through for you. If you're not finding messages in this pile within the first, I'd say 5 minutes, if nothing's resonating, you can continue to listen just for the activations, or you can go ahead and select another pile. Balance. Wow, how powerful that you have the message on your card is balance, spirituality, and practicality, and the first card that came out for you was balance, card 11. That's really beautiful. I love the synchronicity in that. Rest and rejuvenate. Okay. I'm really getting the energy card 4 of your guys, of y'all. so far. So this is, how do you break out of this cycle? So Goddess of the Moon coming out, and 5th chakra Archangel Gabriel coming out, which is your throat chakra. I'm just going to go ahead and get your cards first to get the energy. So interesting that you got Goddess of the Moon, and we're pulling from the Moon deck, and these are also crescent moon crystals. The moon being the yin, do I always say that wrong? I believe, yeah, it's yin energy, which is the feminine energy, not gender specific, just the duality of the world, masculine, feminine. It's the moon, it's the intuitive, it's the unknown, the unseen, things that you just know in your gut, things that are not necessarily super clear or highlighted or apparent, but that you're picking up on anyway. So you may be very spiritually based because the Goddess of the Moon is coming out for you. Oh, let me pause. I just got so cold. I just got so cold. Let me grab this big fluffy blanket here. Yeah, so you may have mastered the spiritual side of life because you're coming out as Goddess of the Moon. And you may be looking for, how can you bring more balance into your world? How can you bring more practicality? I can't believe you got time for a nap. You have rest and rejuvenate and time for a nap. So it sounds like you're really running full tilt, possibly at both of these. Like your 3D world, it sounds like you're not taking a lot of time to rest. You're not taking a lot of time for yourself and maybe to focus on the spiritual side of yourself. Peace. Beautiful. Card 23. You're getting a lot of double messages. So you've got balance message coming out twice, and you've got rest and rejuvenate and time for a nap coming out twice already. Right at the beginning, Spirit is saying to you, it sounds like you're burning yourself out, and the cycle that you need to break out of, and we're going to get information on how, is this burning the candle at both ends. This overdoing it in some aspect, feeling not in balance, feeling exhausted, feeling out of sorts, feeling potentially, for some of you, I'm getting this really strongly, for one of you, you're in a spiritual line of work, and you burn yourself out doing that because you're so passionate about it. So you could be a card reader, a channeler, I'm seeing for one of you. You could be a psychic, intuitive. You could be a medium. You could offer readings. You could be a Reiki healer, massage practitioner, acupuncture, any other sort of spiritual modality, like reading charts, Akashic readings, things like this. And you're so passionate about it, and you're so want to help and do this spiritual work, and you completely burn yourself out at the practical level of it, of taking on clients and making sure that they have what they need, and that you're providing the service that they've requested, and it's negatively impacting your health and wellness and your sense of peace, actually. Stillness. This is unreal, your pile. Stillness and stand still. Like, are you guys seeing this? Is absolutely crazy on so many levels. The fact that you have rest and rejuvenate and time for a nap, and then the next two cards that came out are in the same deck, stillness and stand still. And it's two beautiful birds of paradise, I would call them, with a swan and a crane, like majestic, very spiritual birds. Wow. And you have peace. You're reading. Oh my goodness. I'm like literally in shock, like shook at the intensity and the absolute, it's, what is that? It's saturated. Your reading is saturated with the information that you need. It's not diluted. It's not unclear. It's not like one message coming out and we're interpreting it away. Like this cannot be left open to interpretation. It is so clear that the way to break out of this cycle is to bring in more balance, which you probably already know because you're clearly a very intuitive spirit with the Goddess of the Moon card here. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards on the table telling you to rest. Please heed this. Heed this advice because it's so strong. Time for a nap. Rest. Rejuvenate your soul and your spirit. Stand still. Stillness. Peace. This is how you're going to break out of this cycle. You absolutely have to begin to prioritize this. And I can hear what you're thinking, like how? Because you may have obligations. You may have responsibilities. You could have kids. You could have a partner. Like I said, you could have clients. We're going to see if we can get you that information. But right off the hop, I would say it has to be a choice that you make to put yourself first and to understand, and because you know this, that your gifts come from your ability to rejuvenate yourself and to refill up your tank. Also with the 5th chakra here with Archangel Gabriel, usually I take these as something that needs to be developed, but I'm actually getting that your throat chakra is very developed and that it may not have been in the past, but it is now. You've done that work and that's what you use. So maybe you're a public speaker. Like I said, maybe you're a card reader or a channeler, and maybe you're a singer and you are constantly using your throat chakra to express, even though it doesn't need to come out of your voice. It could be expressing through music. You could be, a music producer or a poet. It doesn't mean you physically need to be speaking, but there's some aspect where you are outwardly utilizing some sort of expression, I would say, of spirit in some way, and you could be getting really run down. This is so powerful. Okay, so we're very clear on what the cycle is, very clear on what the cycle is that they need to break out of. It's overdoing it, overworking, and it's being out of balance. It's going to full tilt and not bringing in the yin side of things, not bringing in the balance, not bringing in the rest. They're just actioning. Y'all are actioning so much and not doing the other enough. And what they're very specifically saying is you're not resting and taking the downtime frequently enough. You might say, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work for 3 weeks or 4 weeks and then I'm going to rest for a week. But they're saying, no, there's 24 hours in the day. You need to be either alternately, especially if you're doing spiritual work, especially if you're channeling. And I'm not telling you anything new. I can feel that you absolutely know this, but you just need someone outside of your own mind and spirit to say it back to you. Especially if you are energetically opening yourself to other energies, you will need to replenish hourly. And they're not saying for an hour, but each hour, if you can, that's taking 5 minutes is what they're showing me. They're just showing me a hand like this. 5 minutes, like as if they're showing it up to you. To the camera. 5 minutes. On each hour, where you're just going to sit and you're absolutely not going to consume anything stimulating. No social media, no looking at your phone, even if it's energetically pulling you, because we're used to doing that. No watching TV. You're just going to sit in absolute stillness, in absolute silence, in absolute peace, and you're going to allow your energy to raise back up like a tank filling back up. You could sit in nature if you can, would be extraordinarily healing. And then you can proceed with the other 55 minutes of the hour with whatever you were doing. And they're saying just try that for 1 day and you will find it extraordinarily refreshing. And then you won't need to take these weeks off. You won't need to work 3-4 weeks straight and then take a week or two to recover, because you will be so replenished within every, physical hour of the day. That's the number one shift that they're suggesting from a practical standpoint. I'm just going to get a sip here of my water. Wow, I really am enjoying your guys' energy, because you're very advanced. Like, you're a very advanced spirit. You know a lot about the spiritual world. More messages for pile 1, please, on how they can break out of this cycle. Anything you want them to know, to say to them directly, please let it come out here. Okay, so for one of you right away, that they showed me on this balance card here at the bottom, this angel has the sword, the cup, the pentacle, and the wand. So it's indicating the 4 suits of the tarot. So your action, your physical 3D materials, your emotions, and your mental. And they're saying for some of you, it would help you to understand and recognize and become more aware, even though you do know this, but to kind of remind yourself that you're working with these 4 elements, and that sometimes one of them gets out of balance also. So not only your spiritual and your practical world of the doing and the knowing, and but also maybe sometimes your emotions get overwhelm you, or your physical needs get out of balance, or you get doing too much, or you get thinking too much, and to sort of always be doing a checkpoint of, am I in balance? Maybe within those 5 minutes at the beginning or the end, you can ask yourself, how am I on my balance of my 4 elements right now? And then you might be able to identify, okay, I'm running a lot of mental loop on this. I'm stressing about what this person said, or I'm doing too much. Like, look at this is something that they're showing me my own personal to-do list, something I found so healing and powerful for me. I used to be so type A, such a doer. I was such sun energy. My masculine energy was so overdeveloped, and my feminine energy, surprisingly, because I'm a channeler, was so underdeveloped, that I was constantly doing and trying to achieve something in my day. I would wake up and do a to-do list, and I would just always have on it, like, I felt I had to capture everything that needed to be done in that day and do it. Empty the dishwasher, change the garbages, clean my car out, go pick up the milk, go do this, like, it was just, and I felt like I wasn't productive unless I checked everything off that list. And now, recently, in the past, like, I'd say 2 or 3 years, Spirit's really shown me, you have to honor yourself and your own energy level, because it fluctuates every day, and your energy and moods are cyclical. And so when I would write all this stuff down in the day, they would show me on the paper, Spirit, they would highlight, this does not need to be done. Like, I would think I can't go to bed unless the kitchen's clean. It was like just something that I had grown up with, and I absolutely had to do it, or else I felt like, life was running away on me, and if I couldn't even clean my kitchen. And they would just show me, like, you have nothing going on tomorrow. You're off. Why do you need to clean the kitchen today? You're exhausted. You've worked all week. Why are you going to push yourself? Rest. Sit here with your cup of tea. Read a book. Journal. Just sit in the stillness. Meditate. Why do you need to do that? You can wake up in the morning when you're replenished and do the dishes, and it's going to take you 3 minutes instead of 15 minutes because you're exhausted. And I found it so eye-opening that sometimes I would have 15 things on my list, and after I went through them, absolutely none of them needed to be done that day. But it was just a habit. And then what I would find is, when I would leave it till the next day, and sometimes things would go on for more than 1 day, things that weren't super critical. Then the next day I was replenished. I had so much energy. I was excited to do it. Like, I was looking forward to do it because I had the energy now and I wasn't dreading it. And that really showed me that timing is everything, even with practical things like that. And that this mental programming that you put something on a list, you got to get it done, or else you failed. It's just old, unhealthy behavior. Soul work. Interesting. So I'm wondering if this is some sort of soul intention that you had. This is the bee, which is, worker bees. It's interesting that the bee is selected for the soul work, to represent the soul work, because it's typically, like I said, like worker bees. But I think what they're indicating there is bees have this purpose. And so this for sure could be something that you feel is driving you, and you're a little bit out of balance with how to follow your passion but not exhaust yourself. Another thing that's happening in this reading is every time I feel slightly uncomfortable, Spirit's encouraging me to correct it. So for example, I was really cold and I felt it. And so they stopped me and asked me to get the blanket, and now I'm warm. And then just a second ago, I could feel my back straining a little bit. And so they suggested that I adjust the chair to take the strain off my back. So I feel like there's a self-awareness that when you're in the zone, and I totally understand this, you're not even aware of your physical body and the strain you're putting on it. You could be not breathing deeply. You could be not drinking enough water. You could not be feeding yourself. That came out really strong. You could be working intensely on your work or your projects for long periods of time without taking a break. And Spirit's just trying to show you this is unnecessary, and you're going to burn out, and you do burn out. You do burn out, and that is why. And so you can completely eliminate the threat, I guess, of burnout, or the concern about burnout with following these steps. This is how you're going to break out of this cycle. It's the rest component that we talked about hourly, and the 5 minutes hourly, and it's the listening to your body's needs. So as you're working during those remaining 55 minutes or however long you're working in that hour, in that day, you're not overriding your body's needs. If it needs water, if it needs food, if it needs rest, if it needs fresh air, if you're cold, if you're too warm, they're showing me that you subconsciously, because you don't really do it, you wouldn't say, oh, I'm going to override this need now, but you subconsciously think, well, this spiritual thing is more important, my work. And your body is saying, every time you make that choice to choose the work or the spirit or someone outside of yourself over your own body's simple needs, that is a mild form of self-betrayal. And over time, your body, that's not going to respond well to that. It will get louder, and I think you know that. So honoring your vessel in those moments and saying, yeah, I need to get up and stretch. I need to take a quick walk, because you're getting the cues, because you're very spiritual. So you get the cues from your guides saying, and your body saying, hey, I need this right now. Can we just go out for 10 minutes of fresh air on the back porch? Can we grab a warm beverage right now? I'm feeling a little cold. And you will just shut it right off. So the number 2 way, first is the rest, the hourly rest. And then number 2 is the listening to your body's cues, strength. So the strength they're showing me, this is a positive for you and it's a negative. This is a double-ended sword for you, because you are so strong. You can push through a lot mentally. You're very focused and you're very resilient. But the double edge of that is this overriding, is it's actually taking your strength, because you're not nourishing your vessel and your spirit in the ways that you could be, which would give you more strength and clarity than you have even now. I think your message is fairly clear. I'm just going to get you a couple more cards. Oh, these are upside down. Any more messages for pile 1 and how they can break out of this cycle? They're saying you may have messages in another pile. I think pile 2, the emotions one. They're highlighting, they highlighted that before. But let's just see if anything final comes out. You already got 2 really strong messages about bringing that balance and rest into your life. They're just really highlighting that to break out of the cycle, you have to make those choices. You have to make the change. You have to choose differently than you would have previously, or that cycle will keep repeating and the burnout will keep repeating. This one. The sacred union, beloved within inner and outer relationships. So this could have a component on your relationships. For some of you, they're showing me that you really want love, and you're just finding it hard to open up, or it's not coming in. And they're saying that this is one of the reasons why, is because you haven't learned yet how to have that sacred union within yourself. You're still treating others better than you would treat yourself, they're saying. I'm just going to leave it at that, because they're like, that's it for some of you. Any more messages for pile 1 on how they can... Okay, got him. I got him. Interesting. I've never had this card. You got the love. Hadrian energy, codependency, boundaries. Interesting that this aspect is starting to come up now. So there is, for some of you, some element here presenting itself about, I guess, love. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic love. It is saying inner and outer relationships. This is codependency and boundaries. So this could be family. This could be with your clients, where they're suggesting to bring this balance in. There has to be better boundaries. See how she's kind of all blurring all these other figures. Who is she? Like, is it he? Is it they? Is it all of a sudden there's too many other people's external energy blurring this person's sense of self and sense of spiritual sovereignty. I don't know if that's a word. Sovereignness, autonomy, your own sense of sacred self. And so there could be some work you could do to break out of this cycle with clearing up firmer boundaries, especially if it is with clients, saying, hey, I need this, I need more time. I'm actually not doing this anymore. I'm actually not feeling, that I have the energy to provide this for you right now. Whatever it is that you need to say, that you need to speak, 5th chakra, whatever it is you need to express, this card is showing that could go a long way to helping you break out of this cycle of imbalance and the codependency. For some of you, you could feel like, well, that's where I get my sense of worthiness. If I don't provide this, then I don't feel like I'm, contributing to the world, or whatever that is. So I would maybe look into that. Hadrian, Hadarian. I've never heard of that before. Maybe there's more information on, YouTube or Google about that concept. It could be like a star family or something. I'll look it up after. And then you have the star family card. You're part of a team of souls. Call in support. Okay, so that would be 100% another aspect that I personally was thinking to suggest, but I didn't want to say it because it was my personal thought. Asking for support, calling in support, activating support. Is this card in? Oh, this card's not on the frame. If you're doing everything yourself, for example, if you are like a YouTuber or a Patreon, or you have some sort of platform, or a psychic and you're on some sort of psychic platform, perhaps there's certain like administration that you need to outsource, or editing, like say editing your videos is just becoming too much, and you have a friend or a family member or someone who you can say, hey, if I dump all my recordings into this file, can you go through it for me and edit? That could be one aspect, calling in your supportive team of souls. Before you incarnated here, you would have come with people to help and support, who are probably around you, who probably could have skills to help you. It could have nothing to do with your work or your business or your passion. It could be hiring a cleaner. There was times in my life when a house cleaner was the biggest blessing. It was like $70 for the month, and just to have that off my plate of someone coming in who was skilled, who had the energy, and it gave me such a sense of peace to know that my house had been deep cleaned, and I just didn't have the time at that time. I was a new mom and I was working full time, and it was such a good investment in my own peace of mind. So I would suggest looking around, and if you are feeling out of balance, seeing what you can outsource. For example, I even get my groceries delivered because I live in a rural area. It's very far for me to drive. It takes almost half a day to go and get there, and it's busy. And for someone who's empathetic and sensitive, it takes me a long time to recover from being in a crowded place like that. If I'm not prepared, If my energy is in a good place, then I'm fine. But if I'm already feeling, a little bit weakened or drained or tired, and then I put myself into a very public place like a mall or a Walmart or something like that, that's going to take me a day to recover from. I'm just picking up on so many things. I end up getting a headache because my crown chakra is just too active. And so unless you have ways to protect yourself from that and you already know how to do that, it could be something as simple as, like, I pay $6, I think it is in Canada, for unlimited grocery delivery from Walmart. And there's lots of places. There's Voila, there's Instacart, there's Uber Eats, things like, it's just giving you an example of things that you can outsource to support you. So that you are able to rest more than you are. Sometimes it's the most simple thing. For years, I went to the grocery store and I just didn't need to be doing that because we now have the technology in most places for delivery. Just giving you one example, it could be like a food delivery service, like Good Food, or I don't know what they are in your area, where they deliver the healthy prepackaged meals to you once a week, stuff like this. They're just showing me those examples. I'm going to get you one more card here because I went through almost every deck but this one. Just a final card for pile 1 on any more guidance on how they can break out of this cycle. They give you lots of practical advice. The rest, what was the other one? The balancing of the 4 elements. But there was something else in there that all of a sudden I can't remember what it was. The outsourcing things and calling in support. The creating boundaries with your inner self and your outer relationships. Oh yeah, the really listening to your body's needs and not overriding those cues. Anything else for pile 1 that we haven't got into? This is almost a 30-minute reading, so I think it was very thorough. I always tell myself I'm going to just do a shorter reading and the information just comes pouring out. I only say that because my memory on my devices is limited. Final message for... Ooh, that's too many. Way too many. A final message for pile 1, please, about how they could break out of this cycle. They just said to me straight out perfectionism, because I was adjusting the cards there, and they were showing me that you have a tendency to need everything to be completely lined up, and they say you're putting a lot of undue pressure on yourself. The way I get out of that, because I used to be that way too, is... And there's something wrong with perfectionism in the sense that it can be very beneficial. It's just something you need to balance. It's a tool that you need to balance, because if you apply perfectionism qualities to everything in your life, there will be a rigidity there that will start to impact your mental, emotional, and your physical body. It has to be more fluidity, and you utilize it as a tool where it's going to really matter and count, and investing in that will give you a positive return. So for some of you, or for 1 or 2 of you, that's a message to take a look at how laying down rigid perfectionism will help you break out of this cycle of exhaustion and burnout. And final message for pile 1, please. Is there anything else that you want to tell the viewer for their highest good? Pillar of light. This is one of my favorite cards in this deck. Your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. So we knew that. We started by saying that you're the goddess of the moon. That's not gender specific. God or god of the moon, whatever you resonate with. You are the oracle. You are the one with the knowledge. You are the one with the wisdom. You don't need me to tell you any of this. You would have already channeled all of these messages internally, but you may need a reminder or to hear it, like I said, outward, spoken back to you. But your vibration is rising. As you do these things, it's not just to feel better in the moment. It's not just to avoid burnout. It's not just to enjoy and have a more satisfying life. As you bring this balance in and you're allowing your vessel and your energy to replenish, you're allowing your vibration to raise, because there's less resistance, there's less tension holding it down, there's less imbalance basically in your energetic world, in your energetic auric field. And so as your vibration rises, you do have, as you know, more clarity, more access to higher resonant frequencies, more access to higher intelligence, more access. You always have, the access is always there, but you're not aware of it. When your vibration is lower, you don't have technical access on those wavelengths, because you just can't you can't recognize those higher frequencies. So you could have say, for example, unlimited energy, but because you're in a state of tension or resistance about things, you don't have access to your own unlimited energy, for example, or access to higher realms of consciousness, higher perspectives, ways of seeing things that your guides and ancestors are projecting to you, solutions, answers to questions, things like that. As your vibration raises, you become aware of those thought projections and downloads, because you're now on the same frequency of them, and so you're a match, and so you can be aware of them. So I really love this for you. I think you're already doing a lot of this. They're saying to me, you're already aware of this. You've already started a lot of this. So you've kind of been dabbling in it, so to speak. And this will just be confirmation for you to go more full force into some of these action steps and really find yourself at a more satisfied, enjoyable state of being in your current life experience. So I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for being here. If you're going into another pile, I'll see you there. And if not, I'll see you in another reading on another day. Be well. Bye. Hello, pile 2. Thank you for being here. You were drawn to this purple magenta crescent moon, and the purple card, emotions are running high with the super moon. So let's get your messages today about how to break out of this cycle. We don't know what the cycle is yet. Yeah, we're going to get that information right now. So for pile 2, what cycle are they breaking out of, and how can they do that? I'm taking it that it has something to do with emotions. Maybe you're a highly emotional person. People are always saying, like, you're so high strung, you're so sensitive, but we'll get more confirmation. Passion ignited, card 1. Okay, more intensity coming in. I have not received that card in a very long time in a reading. Solar plexus chakra, yeah, passion and solar plexus chakra. I'm just going to switch the sides, so the 1 and the 3 is progressive. Okay, I'm getting the vibe, but why would that be a cycle you would want to break out of? Very passionate, creative, intensity. Let's see. You could resonate with messages in pile 1, they're telling me right away. And I think pile 1 got the same message about you guys, about bringing in balance. It's interesting, you have these 2 yellow circles of light. Do you see that? Yeah, you can see that on the camera. And you also have the super moon. So like, I'm getting just big time, big vibes, big energy. But why would you want to break out of that cycle? Okay, pile 1 also had this. 5th chakra, Archangel Gabriel. Expression, your throat chakra. So I don't know if it's overactivated or underactivated, but we'll see. It's too early to say. Envy, card 20. Interesting. Huh. I wonder if you're envious of others or others are envious of you. Let's just keep getting your current energy here. Okay, these 2 just came out right away. Card 20 with Imagine, and card 36 with Come to the Edge, which I also have not got that card in a long time. But this could be, I am getting like with the Come to the Edge energy, that could be indicating a kind of like a risk taker vibe, like a really big energy, where maybe it's pushing you to the edge of like your comfort zone, which doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, but if it's not playing out positively in your life, then I would take it as something that you might want to release. But we're going to just keep getting clarity here, don't worry. But if any of this is resonating, then you're in the right place. If it's not resonating, I would go ahead and choose another pile. Whoa, those two hopped out. Inner peace and forgiveness. I'm putting the forgiveness with the envy card, and the inner peace. Interesting is that this card, the peace card, not from this deck, came out in pile 1, and the image on this inner peace card is the 2 fish, like the Pisces fish, and pile 1 had the 2 Pisces fish because it was the full moon in Pisces. So you guys are so connected, pile 1 and 2. If you feel drawn to it, I would go listen to that one also. Still not getting the full picture here. We're just kind of filling in the outer corners of your puzzle. Ooh, and 2 more coming out. Share wisdom and get curious. Both with really detailed images of roots. Can you see that? Root imagery. Get curious, share wisdom. Very interesting energy here. So I need more clarity, Spirit, on what pile, what cycle are they trying to break out of? They said super emotions. Okay, so you could, I mean, I'm not sure how to say that. You could just hear from people a lot, like I said, like, whoa, you're crazy, man, or like, you're overreacting, or like, oh, you have multiple, I see a different personality every time. I don't, but you know how people will say that to kind of, if they feel uncomfortable with the variety of emotions that you're comfortable with expressing. But I'm still not seeing why you would want to break out of that cycle, except for that maybe it's just not playing out well in your life, or there's something you need to share about it. We'll see. Passion ignited. Solar plexus. Okay. Forgiveness. Imagine. For some of you, this could be negatively, burden of cheers. Yeah, negatively playing out in your romantic relationships. That's where I'm seeing this going. Message of guidance. Yeah, well, we're getting that right now. Back of the deck, free message. A lot of messages trying to come here. I'm going to just continue to get a little bit more information here. I want to see if more of the romantic aspect comes out, because the storyline that they showed me was you have this big, beautiful energy. You call a lot of people in. Okay. There's a little like fuzzball that came onto the card that I just blew away, and someone's spirit guides were like, yeah, like you okay, you gather a lot of lint, you know what I'm saying? Like, take that how you want to take that, but some linty energies sometimes, you know, everyone is beautiful, everyone is divine, but sometimes people are in a level of consciousness and like a vibe, they're in a vibe that can be a little linty, which means they're trying to like stick to you, and I've never heard that before, so that's cute, spirit. And they're kind of like a little dusty dusty energy. Oh my god, this is taking a left turn. Okay. They're maybe not, so you're like a moth to a flame. You're the flame. and a lot of moths come to your energy, and maybe you take that as the storyline they were showing me is like you really attach to these people because you have this open, curious, playful energy, and you assume everybody's energy is like that. And so you're like, oh, like, a new friend to play with, like a new lover, a new interesting, exciting, dynamic, beautiful adventure. But because your energy is so high and it's so open and it's so vibrant and it's so intense and it's so passionate, it's a little untethered is the word they're giving me, which means that you end up with this burden of tears. You end up searching for inner peace. Along the way, you end up with a lot of this envy, a lot of activated energies that kind of like you're picking up all around your situation, whether it's jealousy, insecurity, whether you're picking it up from them or others or the collective, because you're not rooted to anything within yourself, within your own knowledge of how you want to proceed in this interaction, in this connection. And there ends up being like need for forgiveness on both sides, or I'm just seeing that kind of as a repetitive cycle playing out in your romantic connections, they're showing me, because here on Come to the Edge, you kind of take it to the edge and she's kind of dancing off the edge of this little, oh my gosh, 2 cards are stuck together here. Hold on. Let me finish that thought and we'll get back to that deck. She's dancing at the edge of this little island in the air and she's throwing off these heart-shaped rose petals. So that's where I'm getting the romance vibe, and it could leave, it's a little like risky business, and it's leaving you feeling a little untethered and you kind of fall off the edge of this. But let's see, what is this card stuck here? It's like a card stuck. Whoa. Serendipity. 4-leaf clover energy, card 18. Interesting, 18 and 18 is 36. So you could have a lot of connections that seem very serendipitous, that seem very fated, that seem like you can't deny them, And so you're kind of left feeling like compelled to, I'm really channeling this. Like sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying. Like that's how flowy the channel is. That's this type of channel. And you just feel like compelled to follow these connections because you can't fathom how could that not mean something, like these really faded kind of like coincidental, but they're not coincidental meetings, but it's a cycle, and it's this share wisdom card. Get curious about this. What are you meant to be learning here? What is your soul yearning for in these connections? They just said to me, loss of self. So there could be something here to learn just about you're losing yourself in these connections. There's nothing wrong with engaging in them, the passion that you feel, the intensity, but there's something that when it shifts, you take it on yourself and you're left with this burden of tears. Because it's some sort of connection you're making to the success of the interaction or the connection or the relationship being indicative or reflective of your worth. So when the connection goes south, or the person is unfaithful, or the person's just not a good person, or the connection just breaks apart and you get interested in other things, or it goes stale or whatever, you're left feeling like that's kind of the missing piece. I'm not sure how you're left feeling. Like I'm sensing you feel unworthy, like you weren't enough to make it work, but it's not about that. It's about the connection. You learned what that relationship was meant on your path to show you, and then there's a release that's required. Okay, they're showing me that your soul came here to learn from multiple connection interactions. So the quantity for your soul is what's desired at some level, to a point, not forever. It's not like you're never going to find the one, but some people come here with the intention of finding that one, that soul person. They meet them really young and they reconnect and they're with them for life. That wasn't your soul's path. The bigness of your energy and your emotions and your desire for adventure that your spirit has calls for variety to some extent. That's a cycle that you have been in, which means you want to taste all the flavors of the ice cream. You want to explore, but the other part of you longs for commitment, longs for inner peace, longs for this partnership. And so the cycle that you want to break out of, that you think you want to break out of, is this repetitive dating and meeting and it not working out. and having these intense, passionate interactions and it not working out. Now, if you're still listening and the love thing isn't resonating for you, maybe you did meet your partner really young and you're happily partnered up with somebody, or you like being single and you're not dating. If you're just like, no, I'm not really like that at all, I've only had a couple serious relationships, then Spirit is showing me the other side of that coin is you do this with projects or businesses. You're like a serial entrepreneur, or you're a serial student, or you're constantly imagining, let's do this. I'm dreaming up this amazing business, this app, this whatever, this business I'm going to start. And then you kind of burn out, which is what they're showing me. You could have messages in pile 1, and maybe people are either envious of you, or you're envying other people's success, or there's something with that where it kind of goes south. And for some of you, for one of you, maybe they're showing me that this share wisdom card is actually you sharing your wisdom on all of these entrepreneurial categories that you've been involved in. And that's actually the business and the project that you want to be in, is a mentor, is a leader, is a business management, or small business consultant. That's like for one of you. They just showed me that kind of like offside. And it's not actually to continue your own startups of all these businesses, but that variety that you're interested is actually from you being as a steady tethered point to your own business of consultation, where the variety is you being exposed to all of these other entrepreneurs' businesses and helping them define and refine and get their business started up. And that satisfies that need for variety. But you have your own stable consultancy or mentorship business. So that's an idea for one of you that's coming up, of how to break out of this cycle of constantly starting up, feeling like you start it, you get bored of it, it fizzles out, and you're out, money, you're out time, and you feel like you don't have anything to show for it. That's for one of you, with where it's project business intensity of creative energy that gets ignited and that needs to be tethered. Ooh. So you guys' energy is very fast moving. I just take a breath. Woo. Healing is happening. Okay, yeah. You are not broken. Trust the process. It's safe to soften. Yeah, I feel like we all need to take a deep breath. I feel like your cycle is very fast moving. Like you're like, and no sooner are you able to kind of like go inwards and start to recover from something, then something else is presenting itself, another serendipitous connection or another serendipitous business opportunity where you feel compelled to follow that path. I'm going to put this with the inner peace. I think we're out of the frame here. I'm going to put that with come to the edge, the burden of tears. I'm going to get you guys a surrender card, they're telling me. Let's just see what messages come out here. Because I'd like to know, Spirit, we'd like to know what's the message of guidance about how to break out of this cycle. They keep saying tethering. You have to tether yourself to something throughout these experiences. Like to spirit, I would assume, to your own sense of self. Yeah, like here they just showed me this imagine image. I don't know if you can see, it's the moon. And this soul, I think is representing you, is tethered to the moon. And so it's like, even though they're imagining, they're up in the air, they've got these ideas, they're brainstorming, they're anchor pointed to the moon. They're anchored to something greater than their own thoughts. Surrender to the habit of people pleasing. Okay, so I'm getting a message here right away when this came out. Speak your needs and be true to yourself. Focus on your own happiness instead of always trying to make everyone else happy. So this equally applies to the romance pile and the, entrepreneurship, passion project people. So for the passion project people, what happens is you start something with your own sense of self, with your own sense of uniqueness, with your own ideas, with your own intentions. And then somewhere, the cycle that you need to break out of is somewhere along the way you allow it to be influenced by external. And you know this, like this is really resonating with you. Advisors come on, financial advisors, marketing advisors, other people, the client, they start to give feedback. Now, this is a tricky rope to walk because, of course, you want to take in feedback because you want to be able to adjust and improve your business and this and that. But again, the tethering, you have to tether to your own vision and your own intention. And you have to determine where you want your flexibility to be and where you are firm on your vision. Otherwise, so many outside influences will infiltrate your vision, and all of a sudden it's no longer your own. They will be coming from everywhere, especially when you are in the spotlight. People could be envious. There's a lot of eyes on you, and all of a sudden everyone has an opinion, from your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, the neighbor, people in the street, your clients, the people you're providing the service for, the media, depending on how big you are. And yeah. They're showing me that restaurant in New York. Oh, I can't remember. It's the best. It was voted the best restaurant in the world. Is it 11 Oak or 1 Oak or 11 Ocean or something? Ocean's 11. No, I think it's 11 Oak, I think. Hi, this is editing me. The restaurant is called 11 Madison Park. And I saw this on a documentary, and I'm trying to remember the documentary for you, but you can just Google it, and it was voted the best restaurant in the world, and a head chef, an owner had this kind of like awakening about food and the waste and the environment, and he decided that even though it wasn't before, the restaurant should be vegan. And he came up against so much outside resistance, influence. Everyone thought he was crazy. His distributors were like, we're never going to sell you meat again. And like all of this stuff. And it was so inspiring to watch him, like in this documentary. The documentary wasn't about him. It was like a side story that was in the documentary. When I'm editing, I'll look it up, and I'll look up the name of the documentary, and I'll put them both in the description box under your pile. Okay. So don't worry, I got you. But it was so inspiring to watch him just be like, I'm holding true to this vision. And then like they ended up getting their 3rd star and getting voted the world's best restaurant again, even with the switch to the vegan menu. Like it was so inspiring. When everyone was against him, he kept his vision pure. And so this habit of people pleasing, I'm seeing so clearly for both of you, especially, like I said, that note was for the project passionate people, but how completely accurate also for in a romantic relationship. And this is a lesson that I've personally had to learn. Oh my gosh, the people pleasing, like the absolute abdication of my own personal interests. And like when I get in a relationship, all of a sudden, especially when I was younger, not now, but I'm still working on this, I'm such a spirit of like, when I'm love someone, when I'm open to them, I want to explore their world. I want to like do things together. I'm very like flowy energy, like very happy to, accommodate. And like, I really don't see that I'm slowly losing myself. I really don't see that that it's at a balance, and that my big heart and this passion and intensity, we have in this relationship is all of a sudden I'm like osmosis, like absorbing their world, which again, to some degree you have to. It's so interesting how it's so parallel to the business side. To some extent, you have to, adapt and be flexible, and like, what is this person? What's their feedback? What do they prefer? But the balance in it, you cannot lose yourself. You cannot completely just throw all of your, aspects of yourself and preference at the feet of this new relationship or at the feet of this new business endeavor. So that's like a super strong one for you. I just want to get some more specifics on this, because it's all well and good to say and identify that's how you're going to break out of this cycle. Like that's what you need to do, but how do you do that? How do you tether? Pile 1 had such a good practical advice, so I just want to get that from spirit. So for one, they're saying it's this surrendering this habit of people pleasing. If people are envious of you, you really just have to be true to yourself is the word there. Speak your needs, use your throat chakra here. Now I'm seeing where that's coming in. Expressing yourself. Expressing yourself, making sure that you're keeping yourself happy first. And that you are speaking your needs if you're not okay with something, if you're not open to doing something, if you feel like there's imbalance occurring in the relationship and it's becoming too much of their world. And sometimes you don't need to cross the worlds, you know, if they have their thing and you have your thing and you're not interested in doing those things together, then that's when you spend time with yourself. It's very important to have your own world and your own interests. It's so important to be tethered to yourself. So for one, they're saying in both aspects, before you start a new business venture and before you start a new relationship, the practical advice is anchor yourself in your own needs, your own desires, and the authentic nature of who you are. You may need to journal this, like you may need to vision board it. In the business side, that's how you would write a business plan. So it's almost like for the romantic aspect, you would want to write a relationship plan. Like a business people write a business plan, you would write a relationship plan. And you would say, the next time I meet someone that I'm super excited about and I feel this intense feelings for, these are the things that I'm going to do to tether myself to my first and only true love, which is me. These are the things I'm going to do. Number one, no, you need to get real specific. No more than, seeing this person 3 times a week or 2 times a week, or because you have to know yourself, whatever the limit is for you that makes it go over the edge, that makes it go over the edge, that makes it turn into a burden of tears. Number 2, I spend one self-care, day by myself a week where I'm just focused on myself and I'm doing everything just for myself. Number 3, weekly check-ins with, maybe you have a therapist, maybe you have a friend, maybe it's with yourself through journaling about how is this going? How am I doing? How am I remaining in balance? Am I getting out of balance? So self-awareness and check-ins. These are just examples I'm giving you. You create your own, relationship plan. Number 4, as soon as I feel uncomfortable with something, as soon as I feel my inner world telling me this is not something I want to participate in, or this is taking me away from myself or my own sense of freedom, I'm going to vocalize that. As soon as it happens, or as soon as I notice it, instead of letting it fester and building resentment, I'm going to say, listen, I know you like having, football on Saturday with your friends, and occasionally I'll join, but not every time. I'm going to go out with my friends on a Saturday because that's the day that works for us, and you guys have fun. Like whatever it is, you catch it in the early stages. So that's the number 1 practical advice for both, is to make sure before you start out that you've created a well-defined, flexible but structure of stability for yourself to come back to and to have these check-ins. The number 2 thing is you really have to know yourself. Like I said, you'd have to know your business plan so that it's not getting dissuaded by others and the bigness of the emotion and the momentum doesn't take over it. And you'd really have to know yourself before you can create that plan. What do you like? May need to write that down. What do I like? What makes me, like when I was going through this when I was younger, it's because I didn't know myself. So I would just by osmosis absorb and take on whatever the other person's interests were and their schedule and routine, because I didn't have my own. I basically woke up in my 20s, went to work, came back, hung out with my friends. Like I didn't really know what was me. And now I know I need time on my own. I need my self-care days. I need to meditate. I need to go for walks daily. Like I have to have that. I have to have my meditation time in the morning. If I'm in a relationship with someone and they're staying over, I let them know. Like, listen, in the morning, I like to get up and spend 20 minutes by myself. So if you hear me up, that's what I'm doing. Like, you need to be vocal about these things so that you stay tethered to your own routines and self while remaining flexible. It's just like a tree they're showing me. I think that's why you have this image here with the share wisdom. It's just like a tree. The top of the tree or the plant remains flexible, but it's rooted down, so it's really not going too far off of its path. It's not like a tumbleweed flying around in the wind wherever the wind takes it. It's got roots deep beneath that are holding it in place, even though it's flexible and it can adjust and adapt to the conditions. Whew, any more messages? Your reading's already reaching 30 minutes like pile 1 did. I think that's all you need, they're saying. I'm going to get you one final card from this deck. Final message for pile 2, if we can just give them a final summed up how to break out of the cycle, confidence, inspiration, guidance, motivation, boundaries. I can't believe boundaries came out. Wow. Okay. So that's it. If I didn't say that word throughout all those explanations of all the boundaries that we just talked about, where do you need to establish better boundaries? Spirit, thank you. Like, this cannot be more clear. Yeah, look at all these hands grabbing at this person's energy. And she's got her hands out, holding her own, saying, not necessarily saying no, but saying yes to myself. Yes to this is my space. So I love that for you guys. I would reflect on that in both scenarios, the emotional and the business aspect. Your big, beautiful energy, you don't want to dim it down. You don't want to dim your light. You don't want to have to pull it back. It's so useful to you. It's so who you are to have this intense, passionate, supermoon, beautiful energy about yourself in whichever aspect of life you're engaging in. But in order to get out of the cycle of it ending in tears or heartbreak or risky feeling like you're on the edge of behavior, in order to harness this inner peace and this inner wisdom, this is the message that's coming through with you. These boundaries and this tethering yourself, to your needs, and being able to come back to those checkpoints to keep yourself in balance throughout the interaction, the relationship, the experience, the business, the project, whatever it is, so that you can enjoy this beautiful, adventurous world and passionate, intense experiences that your soul craves without feeling deflated, burnt out, disappointment, and in a puddle of, regret or tears or or anguish at the end of it, because you've kept yourself stable throughout, regardless what happens. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you find that helpful. Thank you for being here. If you're going to another pile, like I said, pile 1, a lot came up for you. No pressure, but if you are going there, then I'll see you in that or another pile. If you're not, then I will see you in another reading on another day. Hi, pile 3. You were drawn to this chestnut brown colored crescent moon and the bring love into the situation card with the new moon in Aquarius. So we're getting information on how can you break out of this cycle. So first let's find out what cycle you're in, and then we can get guidance from Spirit on how you can shift it into another energy, another timeline. So right away it could have something to do with love or being in a frequency of love in certain situations in life. It could have to do with bringing love in to your life, because it's kind of showing a void state here where the moon is appearing dark because the sun's on the other side of the moon. It's just showing the slightest crescent, but it's very, very dark. Also the new moon energy being like new possibilities, things starting. So that's just what I'm getting channeled right away, but let's see what the cards say. Fertility and disruption. Yeah. So fertility is so new moon energy. It's essentially the moon phase for fertility. It's a void. It's an open possibilities. It's creative, fertile soil, fertile energy for something to build. Then we have disruption, which is interesting. So potentially the cycle you're in is you constantly feel that your new endeavors, new loves, new projects are being disrupted, that they kind of go nowhere. But let's see. Get lots more information for clarity. And if you watch for a few minutes and you're not resonating with the information, then I would choose a different pile. But first, let's see what's coming out here. Often the information begins one way, then changes, and it expands, and lots of twists and turns in a reading. Sometimes I'll be listening to a pick card, and I'm just kind of lightly listening while I'm doing another task, but kind of aware. Yeah, happy family coming out with fertility. So we had another reading that these two cards came out. You could be from that reading. I believe it was the blessings coming in. What blessings are coming in? Whoa, Angel of Balance. Okay. Yeah, and then oftentimes later on in the reading, just to finish my thought, I'll hear something that I know is for me, even though the beginning of the reading didn't really feel like something. So I don't know why they're saying that. Maybe they just need you to hang in there till something later. But right away, we have fertility and happy family coming out, and disruption, and an angel of balance. All three of this energy, I think, or four, I think, actually, of this energy, like I said, came out in a previous reading. The last reading I posted called What Blessings Are Coming In. So you may have information in that pile. I think it was pile two, I think. But you'll know once you start. You can kind of scan through the the bar there, the time bar, and see when they pop up. If you feel drawn to that, otherwise don't worry about it. You'll get your message here. Oh, come to the edge. This just came out in pile 2. More information for this pile, mending. Yeah, okay. Happy family and mending. And then you have the bring love into the situation. Actually, I'm going to put those right together. Because there could be a situation going on, or that you kind of go through cyclically, like the reading's about, where there's some sort of disruption. It starts out good, and then it needs to be fixed, or it needs to be mended in order to kind of bring peace and happiness back into the situation. But we're still getting the information here on what cycle you're trying to break out of. I mean, even this figure here, he's like in chains. I don't know if you can see, kind of bound, feeling like he's tied to something, or constantly being stuck in some sort of disruption, anxiety, or mental conflict. So for one of you, this is a disagreement. This is going to resonate for like one of you. A disagreement that you constantly have with your partner regarding parenthood or fertility. Should we start IVF? Should we keep trying? Should we go naturally? When is the right time? Should we start for a family now? They're just seeing that this angel of balance and the mending, they were showing me there's like two sides to this, and they're constantly kind of opposing on the same topic. Fertility doesn't have to mean anything about childbirth, but whenever it comes out with the happy family card, I just feel like it is spirit confirming that for me. It is really about that, about growing a family. Could be about adoption. When's the right time to get a surrogate, to adopt, to expand a family. Could be about getting a pet. It could be about bringing in an elderly parent into the household for some of you who maybe your partner wants to put them in a retirement home and they feel that would be more comfortable, where they have that type of care, and you are really big on having your family close to you and that's how you were raised. It could be a clash about that. It really does have to do something with opposing sides, mending some sort of points of view, and some sort of disruption coming in to the situation in a cyclical way, because it's a constant thing that keeps coming up, a constant debate, a constant argument. Leadership. Okay. So it could be that one of you in whatever this debate or argument is, because you're the one watching the reading, I'll speak to you. It could be that to break your cycle, you're going to have to take the horse by the reins and lead it in a different direction, because otherwise you could be re-engaging in the energy just via law of attraction in the last way that you left the energy, because there's going to be energetic momentum there. So if you always go this way and they always go that way and you butt heads that way, you're going to continue to have the dispute in the same manner until someone shifts the energy. And when someone shifts the energy, it means they're choosing a different path and they're consciously being a leader and forging a new trail, cutting down all the shrubs and bushes in their way to make a pathway forward to a new reality, to a new outcome. But it does take some leadership and awareness to do that, because it is easier via law of attraction to follow the momentum of the energy in the way that it is currently going. And sometimes you just need to let that play out and then pick another path. So that this could be the turning point for you coming to this reading. More information for pile 3 on what cycle are they breaking out of and how. I just felt like a heaviness in the middle of my chest, kind of in my heart chakra. Voyage. Okay. Back of the deck. Forgiveness, if that resonates for anybody. So here, the actual image seems relevant because it's a adult mature whale, and it's got a smaller like youth or baby whale tethered to it, and they're traveling, and the card says voyage. So this could be a journey that you're gonna have to go on physically or just energetically. It could be a process to take this conversation into a new place. But definitely you have to break the current cycle because it's going nowhere, Spirit's saying. It's just a repetitive cycle where there's no resolution in that frequency. You have to shift it to a frequency of resolution, strength. This came out in pile 1. I'm actually getting another one of those. So leadership takes strength. And breaking cycles takes strength because it requires you to choose a different path. It requires you to have an intensity and a heightened self-awareness about your usual triggers, your usual phrases, your usual go-to, and having the consciousness and the strength to pull yourself out of that mental programming, that mental rhythm, that mental pattern, and choosing something else and saying, okay, we know how this ends. This conversation goes nowhere because we've had it 10 times, 20 times, 100 times. But we both have good intentions. We both want to be heard. If the person doesn't have good intentions, like I would question why you're in an interaction with them. Maybe this is not the person, to be having this conversation with. But if you know the person has good intentions, you probably both feel passionately about your point of view. You both feel that you're right. So it takes strength and leadership to respect the other person's point of view so they feel heard, but also use your own voice, make sure that you're being heard, and choosing to break out of a cycle that's not productive, not effective, not happy, and bring more love into the situation is your main card. Ask body, how interesting. And it's a cheetah here with the third eye opening on the top of his head, which could also, I would say, indicate your crown chakra. So asking your body, that card hasn't come out in a long time. And they're saying if this does have to do with the fertility and wanting to start a family, that could be a really good place to start. You could be in this cycle with nobody else but your own self. This could be a repetitive cycle of disruption with your own self because maybe you're not listening to your own body and your body's needs about what it needs to be able to produce whatever this creative idea is, whether it's an actual human being or an idea. That's for somebody, this balance. It's not for everybody. For some of you, it's outside of yourself. It's somebody else. But for some of you, regarding the fertility and the happy family, it's within your own body. Because that Ask Body card came out indicating what it needs, its timing, its cycles, what it's not getting, that it needs you to actively, physically do for it. Like your body can't act outside of yourself and it can't change your own thoughts. You have to do that, your own conscious awareness. So if you are in, mental loops that are unproductive, that are causing you a lot of stress, that are causing you a lot of anxiety or disappointment, or if you're doing things that your body needs or maybe overriding it or not listening, you could have messages in pile 1 that came out, pushing yourself to extremes. Perhaps your body just simply needs the conditions that it requires in order to produce whatever this is you want. This energy, this state of being, this bodily condition. So I would tune in to your body and ask it moment to moment when you're feeling some sort of discomfort, hunger, thirst, heat, cold, discomfort in any way. What it needs and follow through and listen. If it needs a glass of water, go get a glass of water. If it needs to eat, go make yourself a nourishing meal. If it needs to move, stop what you're doing if you're able to and go out for a walk. I would start there. You got this card, open. Say yes. Expand through the extremes. Trust life. And this figures in like a state of surrender to a higher consciousness. Open, yes. I really get this energy for you guys, this being open to other people's perspectives, being open to other timing. I feel like you're very rooted in something. that's causing a lot of disruption in your life and this kind of need to constantly mend things, that if you just brought more love in, as it's saying, more fluidity, more flow, more openness, even if it doesn't mean that you need to betray your own sense of self or your needs or your wants, but being open, and especially the phrase expand through the extremes. There could be potential to expand your mind, to expand your perspective on it through listening to someone else's point of view, through going down a path that maybe you feel very rigid about another way, and seeing if there's any possibility for there to be benefit in that solution that they're offering, and also trusting life and the timing of life. Because oftentimes the solution is right around the corner. It's just on its way to you. But really bringing in a more open-hearted energy. Like I said, I had that tightness in the middle of my chest in my heart chakra when I was talking about the people debating and the people. You're really creating energy, but in any sort of rigid stance, you're creating a closure in your heart chakra and a rigidity, and you're creating a wall up around it. And this message is just suggesting that you release that. Release any sense of self-protection. You are protected. You don't need to physically, create walls around your heart. Make sure you have your boundaries in place. Make sure you know what's for you. Activate. Okay, so this is interesting. Activated earth, power places, ley lines, and trust where you're led. So, because you also have the voyage card, that's why I'm saying it's interesting. So this, for some of you, this has to do with moving. Physically moving or traveling somewhere. Ley lines are kind of magical, spiritual places that have heightened energy frequencies around the world, like the Mayan ruins, like Stonehenge, like the pyramids of Egypt. I don't know that for sure. Those are just the places my guides are giving me that coming to mind, but you can look it up. Where are power places that have activated ley lines? And you may be feeling called to go there. In fact, usually when I get this card, I get the voyage card. So if that doesn't resonate for you, then don't worry about it. If you're like, I haven't felt called anywhere, then that's probably not for you. But if you know what I'm talking about, then this card is indicating that part of breaking out of this cycle would be to follow that inspiration and your intuition, potentially to move or travel to and visit one of these destinations, and perhaps you'll get an activation or a message or a clearer path there about how to bring movement into this kind of perspective that seems locked. I'm gonna get a surrender card for you. Pile 2 got one of these too, because there is something here that needs to be surrendered. Because you have this open card. They're just saying in the situation, there's just too much fear right now. There's too much anxiety driving the desire. And they need you to shift into the desire being driven by love and openness. So the frequency is pure. So then via law of attraction, you can match up with this energetic timeline. Right now you're matching up with an energetic timeline that's on a lower frequency, a different frequency. That's not resulting in what you want. It's resulting in blockages. It's resulting in repetitive outcomes of the same cycle. And they're saying your body, bringing it into balance, kind of mending what you can within your own heart and within the relationships around you by bringing more love and openness in. And you're going to do that from a place of leadership and strength, and choosing a different path, choosing a different approach. If you need to get help with that, therapy, if you're into that, speaking to a trusted advisor, speaking to a relationship counselor, that could be for friends, family, coworkers, romantic partners, reading about it. If you don't want to, physically seek help, or it's out of your price range right now, you could go and Google what are the best Yeah, I knew that was gonna I knew that was gonna come out. Because that's what I was saying before, but trying not to say it. But we'll get to that. Books. There's so much resources about improved communication, about communicating in love, about bringing your communications into higher frequencies. I would look up that. Surrender negative thinking. This came up in my mind before when I was saying it could be the way that you're mentally approaching this. It could be the vibration that you're in about it. And I didn't want to say you may need to have more positive thinking is basically what I was trying to say. But I sometimes feel like people are very resistant to that because it just seems, I don't know, like a little annoying when someone tells you like, think more positively. I think it's just been overdone like in the space of spirituality, right? So that's why I didn't want to say that and kind of like incur an eye roll. But I think regarding the situation, it really could benefit you. It says you have control over your thoughts. When negative thoughts surface, say thank you for sharing to your thoughts and quickly refocus on positive affirmations. I know this is tricky because there's the whole concept of like spiritual bypassing and like spirit's not saying like, oh, just disregard your negative thoughts, but be aware of the voice in your head that is not serving you, because we all have that little, ego who's trying to protect us. And it's not from a place of love. It's maybe from a place of ego, from a place of being right, from a place of self-protecting. Like say you really want to conceive and your mind is just constantly telling you, oh, don't get your hopes up. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Oh, it didn't work for this person. It didn't work for that person. And you're kind of constantly on this negative loop, but you don't realize it because you think you're just being cautious. But you're having trouble shifting out of this cycle of, not achieving the what's it called when you get pregnant? Conceiving, for example, because you're conflicted internally. You're like not sure, you're sure, you're not sure. So that your body is even like, so what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Even though your desire is strong for it, and sometimes a strong desire can override any negative thoughts, but it could just be delaying your outcome. This is just a sensitive topic. That's why I'm hesitating. I don't want anyone ever to feel that because they can't conceive they've done something wrong. It is just so much about right timing and just being as well balanced as you can within your own body and mind to create the optimal conditions, but it should happen naturally. You don't want to have to effort and work and, be like going super hyper about creating the right conditions and like, you know what I'm saying? It's just going to have to be in a flowy state. My advice, if you are doing that, if that is resonating for you, is just get off the topic. Get off the topic altogether. Don't focus on it. Live your life. Focus on something else. Trust the universe that your desire is there. Your desire is known. Your desire is being held in the ethers. And as soon as, because your natural frequency for whatever it is that you're trying to manifest here, if it's a child or something else, a relationship, a project, an outcome, a healthy relationship with like a parent or a sibling or something, a coworker, your desire is already known and it's held vibrationally by your higher self. You don't have to hyper focus on it. It's not going to disappear if you don't focus on it. But what can interfere is your own limiting beliefs or, timelines, and these things can get in the way of that manifesting in a more flowy manner, if I can say. So sometimes just getting off of the topic, trusting that it's going to happen in divine timing, trusting that it's down your timeline and you don't have to worry about it, and going on and creating a happy, beautiful, satisfying life, that creates the frequency and the energy within yourself that can manifest these things and allow things to line up in a physical manner. In the best way for you. I hope that helps. I felt like I just rambled and said a bunch of nonsense because I was just I didn't intend to say nonsense. I hope I didn't say nonsense, but I just really am sensitive about not offending somebody or making someone feel any way if they're trying to conceive. It's such a touchy subject because there's so much stuff around that topic, but I hope that my intention got through and you got the message there. So anything else for pile 3, how they can break out of this cycle? Let me just see. They just want one of these cards here. Yeah, they keep highlighting this, bring love into the situation, the frequency of love. And so not only in your interaction with this person or with yourself, but love into your own life. And that doesn't necessarily mean romantic love, but say you did want romantic love. The frequency of finding romantic love would be to love on yourself and bring more love into your life, which means you're curating an environment and an atmosphere and a routine surrounded by love. You're not torturing yourself. You're not, being harsh with yourself, limiting yourself. You're not just negative self-talk. You're creating like a loving environment. So if you make a mistake, your self-talk, you're saying to yourself, that's okay, you got this, we learned from this, that's no problem, we learn from our mistakes. If you don't like the way you look, you're saying to yourself, that's okay, I'm in the process of transformation, I love this part of me because it's a starting off point for me to create something new. I have this new desire about how I'd prefer to look, and I love creating, and I love being, the canvas of my own life, and just finding a way to speak lovingly and create that vibration of love around all circumstances in your life. And then it's going to reflect outward in either love coming in or in more love and harmony being present in all of your other relationships and interactions. If this is something specific that you want to move forward, like something about a parent or moving or traveling, I would focus on your own energy being as love-based as possible. And love is such an obscure word, right? Sometimes it's like, so what does that mean? It's basically, love is the frequency of openness. It's the frequency of allowance, surrender, of hope, of peace, of joy, of good intentions, good vibes, wishing people well. I used to have this kind of knee-jerk reaction of being annoyed with someone. If someone would cut me off in traffic, I'd immediately be like, ugh, bro, why are you doing that? And now I just kind of tap my heart and I'm like, okay, I send you love. I don't even want to engage in it. I can feel the immediate annoyance, and then I kind of cover it and throw at it. I'm sending you love. I hope you're having a good day. Be well, be safe. It's kind of just shifting your knee-jerk ego reaction to a higher a reaction from a higher place of consciousness. But man, it is tricky. Sometimes it is tricky. It can be tricky. Those knee-jerk reactions are right at the forefront, but it can be done. I'm telling you, it can be done. For as many times as you don't catch it, then you'll catch it. So 3 times you might be like, oops, got mad, got annoyed, had my knee-jerk reaction, and that's okay. And then the next time you catch it, and then the next time you have the knee-jerk reaction, but then the next time you catch it, and then the next time you catch it, and then you find there's a tipping point and it shifts, and you're catching it, and you're shifting, and you're using your strength and your leadership to bring more love in more often than not. And just be patient with yourself. These things do take physical time sometimes. Any messages from this deck? I'm not really feeling anything popping out. One's coming off the bottom here. And then they show me one more, and then I think we're going to wrap this up. Repression. Oh, interesting. Card 22. This came out in another reading. The what's going on in the connection. It was one of the cards. You could have a message there. It could be unrelated. I'm putting it with the disruption. Yeah, so for some of you, the leadership is bringing in your perspective. It's using your strength. Maybe you haven't really been engaging in the conversation. You're kind of watching it from afar and not putting your 2 cents in, but you actually have 2 really good cents about it. And so not repressing your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, but making sure they're coming from a place of love and mending things through your leadership energy, raising the vibration of the situation will allow an opening in the cycle. For what they're showing me? This is so helpful. A roundabout. If you live anywhere that they have roundabouts in traffic, where you enter the roundabout and then if you don't take an exit, you'll just keep circling the roundabout. It's just a circle. So they're showing me that with your leadership and voicing your beautiful thoughts and opinions and your higher perspective about it, it's going to allow all the participants to take an exit, an exit to something productive instead of keep circling. You're actually going to show them, okay, follow me. Here's a solution. Here's one option. Let's take this exit here. This exit called, compromise, or this exit called opening our perspective, or this exit called let's try this, and you know, whatever it is. I don't love the word compromise, but you know what I mean. Finding a solution that works for everybody, finding a workable solution, let's call it that exit. Just take a sip here. I'm sorry. It's so funny how all of these readings are coming out around exactly like 28-30 minutes, which I did not intend for them to be that long, but a lot of really good information has come out, and I just wanted to honor the messages, not try to cut them short. So final message for pile 3, how can they break out of this cycle? A lot of really good stuff's already come out. So one final card would be great to solidify, bring it home. Answer the call. Interesting. What is your soul calling you to do? Answer the call. So you may have come to this reading with a particular thing in mind, that you've been wanting to do this, and maybe that's what's causing the cyclical, you know, conversations, or you've been wanting to follow some certain path, or you've been wanting to, like it says, vocalize and express your point of view about something. What is your soul calling you to do in this situation? I would reflect on that, because you also have this voyage activated earth cards that indicate some sort of travel. So this could be your soul calling you to a particular place, or this could be what is your soul calling you to do in this situation, because you also have this open, say yes, expand through the extremes, trust life card. So I'm going to put that right in the middle. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found the messages you needed. Thank you so much for being here. If you are feeling drawn to another pile, then I will see you there in another pile. And if not, I will see you in another reading on another day. Be well. Hello, pile 4. So you guys have this very unique card and crystal situation here where double moons came out both times that I attempted to pull. So eventually we just took it. And it says your hard work is paying off. Now, I did channel previously to starting this pile a message for you, which was that your pile is a little bit different in that you're the future potentially of piles 1, 2, and 3. You've already broken through some sort of cycle, and because you've been doing this spiritual work and this work in the 3D with changing behaviors and things like that, you're already seeing the outcome of being on a new timeline and shifting out of old cycles. But because you're doing that work, it's of interest to you. So when you saw this reading, you were like, oh yeah, you know, I feel like I've been doing that. I'm interested in breaking out of cycles. You know, let me do a sweep. Is there anything else in my awareness, in my consciousness that could be cyclical that I'm ready to break out of and break free and start a new behaviors in a new timeline? So for you were kind of wanting to check all of your boxes and make sure, and it's of interest to you because you're currently doing the work. So Spirit wanted to confirm that for you. You're a little bit further down the path than piles 1, 2, and 3. So you could be also from one of those piles, and there's some other area of your life that you're already seeing change, really positive change on. And also you have the double crystal. So I'm not sure if that resonates for you with a soulmate situation or a twin flame situation, or you're a parent with a child, because one of the crystals is slightly larger and it's kind of holding the other crystal. So it could be some sort of connection or relationship, romantic or platonic or otherwise. Or it could just be that you, like I said, have already started this. So it's kind of like a mirroring of you've already broken a cycle and this is your second round at this. Oh, but let's see. Yeah, I kind of thought so. That's why I said that. Harmony. So as you can see, it's two figures here kind of staring into each other's eyes, into each other's gaze. So that is the energy I was getting from the crystals. So this could be about a partnership that you've found some resolution on by breaking a cycle. Suffering and silence card 9. It's interesting because you have a 6 and a 9. So the 69 being like the yin yang kind of symbol. Again, a lot of like mirroring here, a lot of connection, partnership, reflecting energy, balance energy. So let's see what's going on. If there's anything else that Spirit can offer you about breaking any cycles. This 5th chakra card has really been coming out in like almost every reading. I think we've had it 3 times today, at least twice. So you're Whoa, expressing yourself, the sun. Yeah, card 1. So you have had some success and achievement here. So I'm curious about what else you could do to either maybe develop this new cycle that you're in. Could be the energy that you're here because your hard work is paying off, and you have the sun, which is like success, achievement of some goal. So some part of this is already like kind of well down the path for you. I'm gonna get another deck, some sort of what's on your mind. But you do have, they're just highlighting the suffering in silence and the throat chakra coming out, which would be expressing yourself. So no longer being in silence. So it's interesting that you have suffering in silence with the 5th chakra. So I'm getting that you want to break out of this cycle of maybe not speaking up, not expressing your needs, not saying that you're unhappy in something. Round and round. Of course we have round and round in a reading about cycles. I love that. So some part of this cycle I'm seeing for you that you have a unique situation here. There's some sort of like 2 cycles kind of going around in a continuous manner, but one of them is kind of beneficial and it's kind of adding stability and holding things together, like say a union. That's a cycle that you would want to continue. But then there's some aspect of it that is kind of shifting off out of alignment, where you're suffering, where you're not expressing yourself, where things are going round and round, and you're maybe uncomfortable with the repetitive nature of certain things repeating themselves. So it's like the yin yang. There's the duality to this. Parts of this you're very happy with. The fates. Why is this stuck to me? It's like a magnet. Look at that. Part of this you're really happy with, and part of it you want to shift of this situation, which I'm getting for this pile. It's a relationship. We haven't really had like a full-on relationship pile yet. The fates. So this being kind of like the star card. Something that's maybe fated or meant to be, or on your path, something maybe you intended before incarnating here, if you believe in that. More messages for pile 4, and what can help them break out of any sort of cycle that they may be in, that they're ready to break out of, that's not beneficial to them. You could resonate with Capricorn. It could be you or the person you're asking about, or you could just both be hardworking, or one of you. Wonders, okay. I find that card like pretty nebulous. I'm not sure what to make of that right now. But we'll wait and see. And healing chaos. Yeah, I get that. I don't know why these cards are sticking to me. Do you see this? Something magnetic about your energy, I would say, is what it's indicating. Like your ability to draw in your counterpart, or exactly what you need. Healing chaos. So this is one of my favorite cards. So it talks about, if you read the guidebook, how a tornado, for example, will come through, and how it's chaotic and it tears everything up, and it's devastating in so many ways, especially if there's what's that word? Like, built up land. If there's people living there, if it happens in the middle of nowhere, it's still chaotic to the animals and the habitat that's living there. But, civilization is the word they're trying to use. Anyway, we're skipping over that. But what it does is it churns up the earth, and it churns up the soil, and it maybe tears down trees that are like dead trees, things in the way. It tears away any debris, and it stirs things up. And that scientists have found that the soil and the habitat after a tornado, it's like primed for new life. It basically like reinvigorates the land and the habitat. Like I said, obviously not if it's some people are living there, it's going to cause them to have to move and everything too. And there's a lot of devastation caused by tornado, but that outside of human existence in nature, it's a very healing, chaotic energy, because it creates this transformative. That's why the butterflies are coming out of this. So this healing chaos card indicates that you could have some sort of suffering, like you have the suffering in silence card, something that seems chaotic going on in your life, something that seems like it's going round and round, but that's actually bringing a healing energy into your life, and it's actually bringing fresh, regenerated energy in with the disruption, kind of like a tower moment that puts you on the path to something that's more aligned with you. Like you lose your job, but it puts you on the path to like your dream job and your real passion, and it kind of releases you from something that was stagnant. Ascension and the Seeker. Two hands here. You have the two hands here with the Seeker, and you have Ascension with another hand here with wings on it. Ooh, hit the mic, sorry. You are getting some kind of like very esoteric, mystical cards with Wonders, Ascension, the Seeker, the Fates. They're like less specific than the other cards that were coming out, so I'm not 100% clear beyond what I've already channeled. So let's get more information on what the message is here about how to break this cycle, this round and round. I love that you got round and round with a card reading about how to break the cycle. More messages for pile 4, please. How can they, what's the cycle and how can they break out of it into a new timeline that's beneficial for them? New behaviors. It's funny because you're the only group that they keep saying new behaviors. So that must be meaningful. You've either become aware of new behaviors that would benefit your situation, or that's a message for you to assess your current behavior. 2 cards coming out here. Interesting. Wow, I can see this before I even picked it up. Okay, so you have first the Rose of Venus, alignment, flow, right relationship, harmony. And you have the Harmony card. And again, you have a figure of 2 people here in this embrace. I'm almost getting chills, like my skin just got very flushed, like heated by just the synchronicity in this. Flow, right relationship, harmony. And this is about what cycle are you breaking out of? I mean, I have to say it because it's on the table. For some of you, if you are in a relationship and you're not feeling it's the right relationship, then that could be indicative. If this is the case, you would already have been feeling this. This message is not for somebody who I was speaking about earlier, who is in a beautiful, harmonious relationship and your hard work is paying off and it's been, you feel like it's destined and you feel like you're twins and there's no issues, no major issues, and you had no previous awareness of wanting to maybe it's not the right relationship for you. So either that card is confirmation for that group who is in the right relationship, who is in harmony, you're finally in alignment, you're in your flow, you're in the right relationship, the Rose of Venus. So that's one message. Congratulations, you have this double moon here. There's some other message here for you that, about cleaning up some other cycle maybe the 2 of you are in. But I'm just saying for the other group of you who feel either not in the right relationship, like you haven't met that person yet, then this is about that coming in. The cycle is that you're breaking that disalignment and you're coming into harmony with somebody because of the 2 moons here. Your hard work is paying off. Maybe you've been doing a lot of internal work. So maybe you've been suffering in silence, like feeling alone. That's another group. And then there's the third group where you're currently in a relationship and it's not the right person and you're seeking guidance about that, about breaking out of this cycle. Maybe you're on again, off again with them. Maybe you're seeking harmony, but you're not finding it. So that's for a very small percentage, just because I have to take it as the reading is about breaking cycles. And but I came to this reading, your guys' particular reading, feeling like you were already very advanced and had already made some headway with breaking through cycles. So it's just basically showing the 3 phases of this pile. You could be not met the right relationship yet. You could be in the right relationship, or you could be in a relationship with someone that is not in alignment with you and you're seeking to get out of it. So wherever you're at, let's get everybody some messages. Then you have Whispers of Mother Earth, creativity, ideas, inspiration, artist, writer channel. Yeah. So you could be a very creative group. I am getting that, especially the artist, writer channel. I mean, I would say they're all channels because you're channeling a creative spirit, a creative energy. You're tuning into higher frequencies where you're flowing ideas into your work. And I get that with this Ascension and the Seeker card. You seem to be really in an energy of seeking, of oracle, of, what is life? What are the higher purposes? What else is going on here? So can we get information on what is the cycle? It's basically regarding relationships. Did I just get this deck? Oh, I did. Okay, well, now you're getting a third card. I meant to pick another deck. The Rose Garden. Innocence, forgiveness, be gentle with yourself. Okay, so for whatever stage you're in of those three relationships, you probably went through a very bumpy ride on your path, or in the process of a very bumpy relationship ride, possibly on the path to finding this right relationship, this harmony. This is about harmony. This is about finding your counterpart or harmony within the relationships in your life. If it's not about a counterpart, it's about right relationships in family, right relationships in friendship, in your community, in your work. But typically, there's not such intense desire within those relationships, besides family. Family, there definitely is, for them to show up in a reading. But it's possible, but I'm just putting it on the table. Most likely, it's a romantic relationship we're talking about here, or a family relationship where you're seeking harmony, and you've had some measure of success so far. You've got the love. Oh, yeah, this came up in pile, I believe, 1. You've got the love. Yeah, Hadrian energy or Hadrian energy, codependency, boundaries. So there's a lot of love energy going on here. So let's get a couple more piles here, and then I just want to see if more clear messages come out about what's going on with the cycle that you're breaking out of. A little bit stumped on this one. It's very clear that it's what it's about. I'm just kind of stumped, like I said, about what cycle you're breaking out of, because there doesn't seem to be much on the table except this express yourself, maybe expressing your needs. You feel like you're going round and round with something, and then a lot of esoteric things like ascension, wonders, the Seeker. You've got the fates, the healing chaos. I feel like potentially you're breaking old karmic or ancestral cycles regarding relationships. With the healing chaos, maybe there's had to be a lot of kind of explosive relationships, or even within this connection that you've had to choose different behaviors and really heal through the chaos. That could resonate for some of you, which again, your hard work is paying off. Like, you're doing that, so it's not so much what can be done as confirmation to continue with the hard work that you're doing. More messages for pile 4, please. So for one of them, sorry, that's how my guide said it. I'm changing it to, for one of you, you are ascending kind of faster than your partner. So perhaps you both started in one level of consciousness, and you've been doing a lot of spiritual work, a lot of work on yourself. Perhaps maybe you brought more chaos to the relationship, like now that if you're just honest with yourself, perhaps maybe they did. But in either sense, that the chaos has, whoever brought it, because I'm sure it was mutually participated in for your own growth and benefit. I'm sensing that you've maybe ascended. They keep showing me this ascended card, and it's one hand. In the sense that one of you, and you're seeking, you really enjoy this spiritual process. And perhaps you really feel like this partnership is fated. Yeah, this is coming more clear. So this is definitely a message for someone. You feel like this is your person. You feel like this is your twin, if you believe in that. You feel like this is your soulmate, whatever term you use for your person. But you feel like you're suffering in silence a little bit, because on some level, you're kind of shifting out of alignment in sense of your spiritual. Maybe your 3D worlds are very aligned. You're very attracted to each other. You're very passionate about each other. Maybe you work on a lot of the same things together. Maybe you have a business together. Maybe you have kids together. Like, there's a lot of alignment in the relationship, and you're happy on that level, and you're connected. But maybe you're internally ascending, and you're feeling that your partner's like level of consciousness sometimes is challenging for you. Maybe it's very triggering, this codependency, boundaries. It could be that maybe they don't believe in the things that you believe in. Maybe they look down on the kind of spiritual aspects of life. I get that. I feel like I'm always in that relationship because there's not a lot of people who are doing this. Like, it looks like there's a lot of people on YouTube, but like in my everyday out world, dating world, personally, I'm not finding a lot of people who are like open-minded to the spiritual aspect, personally. So I'm always kind of feeling like I'm suffering in silence. I'm alone on a mountaintop, where the rest of the relationship is good, but that aspect I feel like I can't share with them to some degree. So that's a message for someone. It could be just managing that aspect, and if you still want to be with this person and you're harmonious in other aspects for as long as the connection, is in alignment. You don't have to be partnered with someone who is at the same spiritual capacity as you. Sometimes it's very beneficial. You each offer the other, experiences and the opportunity to develop other parts of yourself that they offer. Is one message coming through. Anything from this deck? Nothing's been popping. They just showed me a different deck for you. I didn't pull this for anybody else. The Wild Child deck. Yeah, they do keep highlighting the 5th chakra, the throat chakra, the expressing yourself. You may just need to find your voice a little bit more. I know that's like oversaid. This one? Labyrinth. Yeah, I can't believe we have labyrinth and round and round. So some part of this you feel like repeating, like kind of stuck in a maze. So that could be for the ones who kind of want out of this, because at the same time they showed me the suffering and silence. I mean, if you want out of this, what's stopping you, I guess, right? It's just the comfort of that person, of the familiarity. I know. I know, it's so hard. I've been there. But if you are feeling like trapped in a labyrinth, like were you guys the one that I talked about, the roundabout, or was that pile 3? And they're showing me again with this labyrinth. It's this image of a roundabout. Yeah, it was pile 3. So you could have a message there. This roundabout with there's only like a couple openings, roundabout in traffic. It's like this labyrinth, like this round and round, where someone has to take the lead and take one of the exits. So for you, that could be a message. Maybe you need to get out of this labyrinth. You need to take an exit, which means they may not follow you. They may want to stay in the labyrinth. If that's, for that third group who it feels like they're not in the right connection, this could be confirmation that you've moved past this, you've ascended past it, you've been suffering in silence, you're going round and round. There's healing in the chaos of this, but that the right relationship is out there for you. And you can't find it unless you close the door on something that's no longer for you. And only you'll know if something's no longer for you. Tune in, meditate. You'll know when you know. And if you don't know, then don't take any action, because you don't want to have regrets. But if you feel like you know, or you want to know, ask your guides. And whenever I was unsure and I was at that tipping point where I was like, okay, do I either keep working on this or is this my sign to go? I would explicitly say to my guides, show me a sign that then I will know if I'm not meant to be here. If this is the end of the road for this relationship, make it abundantly clear so I have no doubt. And then something would happen. Within a matter of a day or two, I would see something, become aware of something, and I would just be like, oh, I see. It was something I wasn't aware of, and I see that that is not for me. And then I would have peace about exiting that relationship, with love, because I would just know, because your guides know what for you is your boundaries. And so they'll show you something that maybe you were unaware of. Happiness, nice, card 6. So you have so much good here. You have the sun card, which is like essentially the happiness card, the sun shining on everything. I think it's just that there's 3 different scenarios here. So it really depends where you're at. I would say if you're in the happy relationship, in that connection, your hard work is paying off. There's so many good things here. This seems like it's a fated connection. You may be feeling like you're ascending, past your partner. I would just continue to work with that. See what you can learn from them, instead of taking like a spiritually, like higher perspective of like, oh, they're beneath me, I'm more conscious. I would say, this person has many things that they can teach me in this connection, because we're growing at different rates spiritually. And so I would love to still learn from them, and they can learn from me. And I would just stay open to that. Yes, the seeker, seek where you can benefit from that. But I would also be at peace with the fact that that's okay. That's okay to be spiritually at different places. There's nothing wrong with that. And just be careful of codependency and make sure your boundaries are in place. If there's things that you need to do for yourself that are important to you, you make sure you're still doing them. And if you're pile 2 and you're scenario 2 and you're seeking a right relationship, could not be more clear that it's on the way. You may feel like you're round and round, not meeting the person, but keep doing the internal work, because your hard work is paying off. Throughout all this chaos, there's been healing. There's fates being involved here, so there's some sort of divine intervention regarding this connection that's coming to you. Forgive yourself, be gentle with yourself if there's anything that you feel, was that you're beating up on yourself for some reason, because it's showing that you have this creative energy, that you're this artist, this writer, this channel. You're very creative. There's a lot of things that you've got going on for you, and a lot of happiness that you have, regardless of if you're in a partnership, but that this one is flowing to you. Continue to stay in alignment and in harmony with yourself, and that relationship will come in. That cycle will break. That could not be clearer if you're in the cycle of suffering in silence and not meeting anybody. You have 2 harmony cards, and the hard work is paying off on the table. So that's happening. The timing just has to be right, because you want to meet someone who's in alignment with you. And you could have shifted out of your old timelines and the old partner, the old pool of partners that was available to you at that frequency, and now you're at a higher frequency, and now you're realigning your life and your circumstances with that person who's going to be a perfect match for you at this new timeline and frequency that you're at. And like I said, if you're on scenario 3 and you've identified that this person is not for you and not in alignment with you, then I would go inwards, meditate, do the work, ask for signs if you need to, and I would find my way out of this labyrinth, out of this roundabout, and in pursuit of the right relationship for you, something that's harmonious. If you're finding that it's not harmonious, it's not in alignment, and only you'll know if that's you. And there's always the possibility of bringing back a relationship into alignment, if that's what you want. If you do want to be with this person and you're more in kind of scenario 1, then I would take a look at where you can break any cycles that are not serving your in particular situation and your particular relationship, and I would see if any improvement can be made by making a shift in behavior. You would find a lot more information about that in pile, I think it was 2 or 3. We talked a lot about that. I think it was 3. They're just a blur after I channel them. It's hard for me to remember them until I'm editing. I think it's 3. There's Spirit saying, where there's a lot of information about how to do that practical thing. So if that's the message for you about how to improve the relationship, I would watch pile 3, because I don't want to repeat everything here. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to end your reading here. If you are going to another pile because you have more messages there, then I will see you in another pile. If not, I will see you in another reading on another day. Thank you so much for being here, and be well.